We are live.
We're back.
We are back after our 1 week break.
Leo Finance, WenSoon show, aka AMA.
I gotta jump in Discord.
Oh yeah, I should probably do that. Oh yeah, and I should probably do the earbuds too. I always forget. Discord, you make me do extra work.
Yeah, we didn't really announce this one ahead of time, but there's plenty to talk about, even if we don't have a ton of live questions. Yeah, sweet. We're live. Everything's out. All the announcements are done. We were just talking pre-show about all the breaking news because it happened about 20 minutes ago. So Binance has acquired FTX officially.
Wow.
And
they didn't acquire it. They're going to acquire it, right?
Right. So the short version of the story is in the last couple of days, there's been a few questions, some articles posted, some crypto Twitter influencers that started questioning FTX's liquidity. And then also looking at so there's FTX, right? And that's owned, just for anyone that might not be super familiar with how this all works. There's FTX, and that's a huge exchange. They're the ones that, sponsor all the, athletes and sporting events. And they spent a bunch of cash recently, basically bailing out a bunch of different crypto protocols and giants in the space. And then there's SBF, which stands for Sam Bankman-Fried. That's the founder of FTX. He also founded something called Alameda Research, which is like the crypto quant trading firm. And supposedly it's a super highly profitable firm for quant trading. And a lot of people speculate that they were even more successful because FTX was feeding data to Alameda to basically to bolster their quant strategies. So I was kind of following that because I just found it kind of interesting. And then so recently, basically people started looking at the Alameda balance sheet, and they realized that they were claiming that they had billions of dollars in value. But those billions were held in FTT tokens, which is the FTX token. And people started questioning, basically, where's all this value? How levered up is SBF, Alameda, and FTX? And, as people kind of dug more and more into it, a few different influencers started talking about how, they were levered on the edge of bankruptcy, and that if a lot of people started withdrawing funds from FTX, basically they wouldn't have the liquidity. They would go insolvent to fund those withdrawals. So then a few days ago, basically what happened was this all orchestrated a huge bank run on FTX, and a lot of capital started getting withdrawn from it. And as that capital was getting withdrawn, they started adding limitations. So, some people tweeted that they had a corporate FTX account that before previously had no withdrawal limits, and suddenly they had a $25,000 per day withdrawal limit. And as that started happening, obviously you get that snowball effect, you get that panic, and people kept tweeting that they thought FTX was going to go insolvent. And then you had CZ from Binance tweet that so basically Binance is an exchange. Obviously they hold a lot of different cryptos because for various reasons. Obviously they have user funds, but then they also have their actual, for some reason they have core holdings of all these different cryptos. And then they've obviously got perpetuals, so they've got futures and stuff. So they're basically holding a lot of different cryptos. I think today CZ tweeted that they've got $9 billion worth of Ethereum sitting in 2 cold wallets. So they have a ton of crypto, and they had some ridiculous amount of FTT tokens. So then CZ, in the midst of all this bank run nonsense, CZ tweeted that he was going to go ahead and sell all the FTT that Binance was holding. And at the time, I think it was I don't even know, $500 million, if I remember correctly. So So basically, he tweets that they're going to start selling all of that, and it might take a few months, but they're going to be basically they're going to be a seller every single day. And in recent weeks and months, SBF has basically been tweeting all sorts of shit posting content, talking about how he was going to defend the $22 FTT price. And he would always post tweets about how he was buying FTT and supporting that price. And then obviously, as all this news started to break, the FTT token started to drop. So that $22 level, they were sitting at $22 since about mid-September. It kind of kept bouncing off of 22. And then yesterday, that $22 level broke, and now it's sitting at $15. So it broke, and it broke hard. And then people kept withdrawing, obviously. And then, SBF and FTX on Twitter just went radio silent for 24 hours. And then I saw this morning that they paused withdrawals. So if you had capital on the exchange, it wasn't for everybody, though. I think it was only for non-US customers, if I read that right. So basically a large percentage of their user base couldn't withdraw capital. And that obviously, made the whole situation a lot worse. Everyone waited for a while to see kind of how this was all going to play out. And then about 45 minutes ago, CZ tweeted and SBF tweeted at the same time that Binance was making basically a strategic investment in FTX with the ability to fully buy it out, basically. So this all looks very much like an orchestrated kind of short squeeze of FTX so that Binance could step in and buy it on the cheap. And I definitely think that's what happened. I think CZ is one of the most skilled players in, definitely in crypto, if not in just kind of the business world. I feel like he's just kind of he's become this mega giant that just continually basically eats everybody else's lunch. So it's been fascinating to watch how this all went down, and it happened very quickly. I mean, you see, like SBF was literally on top of the world this year. Like he was like, people were calling them the Warren Buffett of crypto. He was buying up bad debt. He was bailing people out. He was, buying companies on the cheap, acquiring them, bringing them into the FTX fold. He was sponsoring Tom Brady and all these different athletes in sports, and people just thought he was untouchable. He was like the next CZ or Warren Buffett of crypto. And then, within days, he basically sells off his company.
Wild.
Really wild. And what's happened in crypto is, obviously, as news broke yesterday, Bitcoin was sitting at like 21,000, and we immediately dipped down to like 19,300. And yeah, people thought it was going to be bad. Some people were saying it was like Luna 2.0. We were going to see a crash down to like 10K. I didn't really think that was going to happen, but personally, when I started seeing the news yesterday and we were still above 20K, I sold some Bitcoin, just kind of some play money, just to make a little trade out of it. And, I started buying that Bitcoin back today under 20K. But yeah, it definitely had a significant impact. And then the news today that CZ was acquiring FTX sent Bitcoin right back up above 20K. Right now it's at 19.8. And obviously the stock market is up pretty big today. So just kind of a lot of volatility. BNB, which is obviously the token for Binance, it was at like 330 this morning, and it's at 361 right now. It wicked all the way up to 400. So this is clearly bullish for BNB.
There's definitely volatility, even if it's within the same range. I mean, hell, we saw a huge spike in Bitcoin last hour, like 1,000-point move. And now this hour, it's pretty much giving a good chunk of it back, and we're back onto 20K.
Yeah.
So it at least created some volatility. But the funny part is when you look at it from a longer term perspective, or just even the daily chart, if I was in a vacuum, I wouldn't have known anything happened, because all we did was swing 1,000 points or so up and down within the same tight little range we've been in. So
right.
As much as I was excited for about 30 seconds, I'm back to meh.
Yeah, it was fun to trade it, But yeah, not
Oh
much
yeah.
happened.
Yeah, as far as trading, absolutely. As far as long-term investment, didn't
Yeah,
change a damn
absolutely.
thing.
Right.
Or
Maybe if
maybe
you're
it
holding
did. Maybe,
BNB.
yeah, maybe it was a saving grace. Maybe shit was gonna get ugly. Maybe FTX actually was gonna get jammed up in a liquidity crisis, and that would spark a sell-off from everyone freaking out. But and that's
Yeah,
fine.
it is. It's crazy.
I just can't get over how long Bitcoin's been going sideways. I mean, we're looking
Yeah.
at, I mean, we got to this level in mid-June. So
Yeah. But I mean,
next
in
week will mark
August, we
5 months.
spiked up to 25, but then quickly gave it back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of counting that as the range. I know, like, definitely outside of that window, we've literally been stuck between like 19 and 22. Um, but I'm looking at that as part of that range. But yeah, I mean, you could say we have this tight little range like that 19 to 22, and then you have like, and obviously, we've touched down to high 17s and stuff. Um, so the outer bands, take you to high 17s, and then the upper band is basically 25K. But my whole thing is like, I'm not looking at Bitcoin as like price action bullish until I see us crack above 25K and pretty much confirm that.
Yeah.
So,
Makes sense.
which at the same time, you know, if you're bullish Bitcoin, then every time it touches into the 19s, technically you should be a buyer because then your upside is 25K, um, theoretically. And then if it was to break that, then that's when you really make some good money because at that point, we'll probably run into 29, 30. But I feel like everyone's still waiting for it to break lower. I still feel like that's the vibe. And that's,
Yeah.
I'm in that party. I'm like, I want to buy it lower. Like, when are you gonna break? So maybe it won't just because everyone's waiting for it.
Yeah. I mean, the name recognition on Bitcoin now compared to the last bear market is so different. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the bottom, this 18K range.
And I mean, think about it. When we were first coming down, a lot of people, I mean, shit, when we were holding 30K, a lot of people like, oh, that's going to hold. And then a lot of people like, no, we're going to, go down to the prior all-time high from the last bubble, right? And then we got there and, started pushing through it. And people like, oh, we're going to 10K. But, that prior all-time high at 20K, I mean, that's essentially what we're holding, you know? So it'd be funny if that ends up working out.
Yeah.
The big descending triangle that was happening off the all-time high turned out to be a non-event. We literally just pushed out of it sideways. It didn't do anything. And that was a pretty clear descending triangle. Turned out to be a non-event.
Yeah.
I don't even know I have the line on my chart anymore. So just, you disappoint me, descending triangle. You had one job. But
So
yeah,
what else what are you trading? What are you buying? What's in your crosshairs?
I mean, honestly, kind of like was nothing until we started talking about it when we were gearing up to go live. Um, I had previously bought some Rune and some Bitcoin, but I really haven't bought much anything the past month. I'll tell you the one that I actually wish I would have bought, like I plan to, and again, just being, I guess, unorganized, I let it get away from me because it's outperformed. And I did a post on it the other day is Cosmos. The Atom token has outperformed the market over the last 4 months. I always forget where's my chart with lines. Damn it, I can't find it. But anyway, um, yeah, this thing got down to $6. Like, talk about an absolute time to buy. I got in, unfortunately, at about 19, $20 is when I did most of my buying. I'd have to look back to see if I bought more any lower because I did buy more at some point. But I would have loved to load up on this thing even at like $8. So, but yeah, so that's relative strength to the market. You look at the low back in June, and it's it basically was in a ascending channel for a while, popped out of that, and now it's trying to decide what it's going to do here. But either way, it's got relative strength, compared to most of crypto and most other alts. So that's something I got my eye on. I don't necessarily know if I'm buying it here, because like I said, I feel like I missed it. But I'll probably also, I mean, Rune is just literally dead on arrival right now in terms of price action. I mean, there
Yeah.
is zero volatility, like fucking zero. Um, I bought more of that at like 205, I think, back in early September. So I'll probably grab more down here at $1.50. And then yeah, outside of that, I'm just trying to maybe get involved in some gaming tokens. I feel like there's always alpha. Well, speaking of, because one of those games is on Hive, we were talking about that. I actually think I'm going to buy some Hive. 45, 46 cents isn't a terrible price for Hive. So those are mainly what I'm keeping my eye on. Um, there you go. Boz just said Cosmos is one of his monthly buys. Good job, buddy. I need to start setting up like autopilot instead of trying to do all this shit manually. Um, but yeah, and then I'm just keeping an eye on all the new games launching on the Hive blockchain, which is one of the reasons I'm becoming more bullish on Hive. Because I mean, all we need is one or two more hit games that I think, will help the price a lot.
Yeah.
So that wrestling one that just launched that I was reading Finn Guru's post about, that seems interesting just because I mean that demographic isn't as big, but man, the people that are into wrestling are just into wrestling. So I don't know if those games do super well. I mean, I know like WWE had a video game back in the day. It lasted for a while. So um but I think there's still a big enough demographic for it. And I like the token ticker. Anytime something's called Woo, it's fun. Get some Woo token. So yeah, I got to get around to grabbing some of those tokens and whatnot. Get some more exposure to the play to earn, since really all I have is Splinterlands, chaos packs that I'm just sitting on, waiting for them to turn profitable one day.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens if that burn gets approved.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that. I was just reading about that, and then I asked Neil what he thought about it. So I think what they're proposing is burning 25,000 CL packs per day. I bought a bunch of packs through Neil and Gerber's X Chaos.
As did I.
So yeah, so I'm excited to see how that kind of plays out. I've just kind of been sitting on the packs and collecting my nice little deck SPS drops from that. So
Yep.
yeah, Yaba just said it looks like it'll be approved, so that's exciting. Yeah, I think
There we go. All we had to do is start talking Splinterlands, and Neil's gonna jump in a minute.
Yeah, he has arrived.
It's like
Well,
Beetlejuice.
speak
He's
his
got to
name
say
and he will appear.
Splinterlands 3 times, and Neil appears.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see where that's headed. Splinterlands has been doing a lot of interesting things lately with all the different launches. So yeah, it's been hard to keep up, but I've just been loosely reading about it. And yeah, in case you missed it, we had Yaba P Matt and They Call Me Dan on the Chain Chatter podcast.
Indeed.
So if you want to catch the recording of that, talked about Splinterlands, we talked about 3Speak, we talked about Hive. So yeah. And then I just tweeted out that I just bought a bunch more Hive, been slowly accumulating. Because yeah, like we were talking about, it's looking really good at these levels. It's got a lot of fundamentals going for it. And I think the recent changes, especially on the HBD front, are very bullish for Hive.
Indeed. Man, that's wild. The little pump from the FTX news is already ended. Right back to where price
Right
was
back to where
before the
we
news.
started.
Literally,
Yeah,
yeah, just a
BNB.
big
I made a great trade on BNB. I sold out at 385 and now we're at
nice.
350.
Yeah, you sold up in the wick, no less.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I had a couple
Yeah,
of sells, but it averaged at 395.
yeah, Bitcoin is basically back where it was when the news started.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. A
That
wild
sucks.
mixed
There was
bag in appears.
some nice reversal candles going on that are now not reversal candles, but we still have 6 hours. So I don't know what is that? A Ponley? I don't even know what that is. That Tony
Up
mentioned.
only.
Up only. Is
Yeah.
that what it's supposed
Because
to
Do
be? Up
Kwon,
only.
when Luna was dipping and then obviously blowing up, he kept saying deploying funds.
Oh, gotcha. Too funny.
Wild mixed bag in appears.
What's up?
It
What's up?
is mixed spreadsheet in the house.
Oh, I'm getting
Rejoice
echoes.
amongst the people.
Gotta fix my thing here.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, so
There
we're
we go.
just in old
general
roundtable
market talk.
fashion. We're talking markets,
Yeah.
and ICZ is might as well join the chess leagues.
Yeah, I was listening, but I'm feeling somewhat okay today. So I figure I can
Nice.
jump on and do a little talk.
Yeah, we didn't touch anything yet outside of general market talk, so we haven't even
Yeah.
gotten updates on all things Leo finance. But
Yeah, but I heard you guys you're talking about Switterlands, so I felt like I had to jump
yeah.
on.
Well,
Also, I've been following the FTX stuff as well. It's been just wild.
Yeah.
And
hell, I need some stonks talk too. I was hoping I could bring Roland out of hibernation, but looks like he's no longer around. He was online earlier.
Yeah.
I feel like stonks ain't the worst time to start buying. Well, really a couple weeks ago I wanted to, but in December when I get some capital freed up, I'm probably gonna start grabbing some stonks again.
I mean, I look at stocks and then there's a diversification element to it, right? Because it's just
yes,
somewhat
that's what it is.
correlated. But then I was like, well, but I'm making like 35% on stable coins income.
Yes, Cat needs to start moving more into BHBD and PHBD.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, the
Easier
multi-token
said than
bridge
done now.
The multi-token bridge is working very well. Better
Yeah.
but even better than I would expect.
I donated my fair share over the last week or so to the bridge burns.
I saw that.
Nice. Yeah, it's been on the list. Easier said than done, but about 3 weeks ago, I was like, oh, I gotta start moving stuff. And here we are 3 weeks later and haven't done any. Well, actually, that's a lie. I moved about $2,000, but I actually didn't move it into BHBD. I just took stables and moved it into the 4 belt just because it was paying like 22% because there's only like 20 grand in it. So I was like, well, let me just move a little in here that I have already liquidated.
Yeah.
But yeah, acquiring HBD is obviously a little bit of a chore.
So
at least in any quantity.
Well, what was interesting, so I was doing it I don't know, Thursday, Friday, something like that. And so I had a bag on USDC, WBTC on Polygon, and that was staked in QuickSwap. And then QuickSwap ended their farm rewards for that pool. So I was just like, I just pulled it out and it's just been sitting there. So I've got this, the BTC I'm going to leave there, but the USDC is, that's dry capital. It's just doing nothing. So I decided, especially once Cub pumped a little bit and APRs went way up from, they were a little over 20% and now they're almost double that. that I said, okay, well, it's time to do the work and buy the HPD and everything. What I was really surprised about was that there are some market makers that are actually putting up significant size bids and asks on the internal Hive market for Hive versus HPD. And I was able to fill, multi-$1,000 orders without too much slippage. I think it was like 0.5%, something like that. And
Nice.
And then I bridged it into BHBD and pooled it, and it's all good.
Yeah. Only thing that slows me down on that is obviously you have price risk with Hive when you're doing these things.
Right. So I did it in 3 trades over a couple days. 2 of the trades actually came out ahead because where I bought the Hive, and then
Nice.
the internal market price was a little bit lower, so I was able to recoup that. And then 1 trade I ended up the other way by 40-50 bucks. So it wasn't too terrible because I was able to there was very little time between getting the Hive and being able to sell it for HPD.
Nice.
Yeah, the fun part is, doing it when Hive is a little bit cheaper, and then you just basically get to make up for any slippage on the arb of the price. Like right now is probably a decent time to try to pick up some HBD, in my opinion.
Well,
I probably will.
I would, but I'm on this call, so let's wrap up now.
Well, Cal is posting memes on Threads, so
Right, double tasking, multitasking.
Finally, gotta have the memes.
I was so Addicted posted something in general with the what was that show, Squid Games, and it was hilarious. And I was like, I'm gonna steal this because everybody's been stealing my stuff and putting it on Threads. And then I go to Threads, and like 20 seconds before, Khalil Kazi posted the exact same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I stole both of his memes.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, Neil's been active on Threads this morning, which is what you love to see.
Tired of getting robbed. Post stuff on Discord, and then it shows up on memes, and other people are getting my votes.
Right. Yeah, we need to, what would be cool? Maybe this is something I'll talk to the devs about, is creating a Discord bot that would, maybe you can like sign up and give it your posting authority. And when you post something in Discord, have it just post to Threads automatically.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be wild.
Yeah, we could probably get pretty creative with it to make it so that like when you post something in Discord, you could like react to it with a certain reaction. And if you do the reaction, then it gets posted to Threads, because you might not want everything posted to Threads, but
yeah, you definitely need to make a toggle or something. Or a bot command.
Neil, what time remind me what time Monster Mav is on?
So because of the time change, it is now at 5 p.m. Eastern. Because the Splinterlands streaming team operates on UTC, which does not have daylight savings.
I remember that with the MSP days.
Very interesting.
Cool. Maybe I'll find my way in and listen up. I think I'll be actually around today at that time.
Yeah, Yaba's going to give me content, apparently. He's going to put out a post on Future Aruni before that. So for
can you explain, give us a rundown of what's happening in Splinterlands right now, what's going on with CL packs. I don't even know what Rooney is. I'm not going to lie to you.
Okay, so over the past like 3 months, a lot has been happening. So we got the governance proposals. The system itself was launched, so people could vote with their staked SPS power. Which, by the way, you guys were holding Chaos Legion back, so you should
totally forgot. Yes, I did not vote.
SPS.
I was not aware.
Yeah,
you're supposed to just tell me, dude.
I have told you.
Wait, you have?
So there was an airdrop for various assets for SPS, and as holders of Chaos Legion packs, you should have received some. That SPS you could then stake and then vote in these governance things, or you could sell, or you could liquidity pool, or do all the usual things. in addition to that, because you bought through X Chaos, you're also getting DEC daily from the revenues that we have from our airdrops. So you know, you bought once, but you're still earning passively, which is nice. But anyway, so since the governance proposal, or since the governance system went live, Yaba and the team have been churning out a lot of stuff about changes to mechanics. So like right now, under vote, and the game's in maintenance right now, which is kind of I wish I could just look it up. There's a vote for whether or not to burn Chaos Legion packs. So Chaos Legion was launched in I think September of 2021, and obviously the whole crypto market was booming at the time. They made the edition size to be 15 million packs. And you know, then we had November, which was the peak, and then obviously Bitcoin's down 70% since then, and the rest of the crypto market's even more. So you know, the growth has definitely cooled off on, you know, Splinterlands along with everything else. And so, you know, this pack sale is taking longer than they wanted, because they always target like about a year or so per edition. Well, yeah, the pre-sale started then. I'm saying the setting of the edition size was in DeFi summer of 21. So one of the proposals that's out right now is like, okay, we've sold 10 million Chaos Legion packs out of the 15 million. And you know, things are going pretty slow at the moment. They want to get out the next edition, which is being called Rebellion, in the summer of 23. And so the proposal is that starting in December, they're going to burn 25,000 packs a day over 4 months through the end of March. And then if there's anything left by the end of March, then they'll just burn the rest, and it'll just be cut off. So, you know, if it goes that full time, that's at least, you know, 3 million packs that will be burned from the Chaos Legion edition, which will, you know, increase the relative rarity above what we've been expecting. So things will be scarcer than they would have been otherwise. So that's all to the good, and it looks like it's going to pass. I think it has a couple days left on the vote, but it's, you know,
Sweet.
You know,
in the basically anyone that holds SPS can vote, correct?
Well, anyone that holds staked SPS, yes.
Staked SPS. Oh, oops. I'm gonna have to restake.
You gotta power it up, and then you know, the SPS.
Oh yes,
is a month.
I will blame it on Polycub. It used to be staked, and then Polycub happened, and now it's over there.
Ah, okay.
Interesting.
So
damn it.
So yeah,
my vote means nothing.
Well, you know, you gotta stake to participate. But
yes.
So you know, if that ends up being the case, which it's looking like it will, then a couple things happen. So one is that you know, when an edition sells out, historically, you know, because there's no other place to buy it, then people start going to the secondary markets and they start bidding things up over time. So if history is a guide, we'll see some bidding pressure on the individual cards themselves, plus, you know, the unopened packs that are still in circulation. Because right now, I think there's about 3 billion unopened Chaos Legion packs that are just sitting in people's wallets, like you guys. So like all the ones I got, I opened, and the cards are renting out and everything. But that's, you know, my model. So so that's one thing. There's also all these other things that are under development. So Mitch, you were talking about, you know, other games. So right now, we had a governance note on this a while ago. There is a new game under development under the Splinterlands umbrella, where it's a tower defense game, and it's being produced by another game developer called Double Coconut. And we voted to award the tower defense game 1 million SPS per month in reward, in, you know, earning potentials. So you know, that's another game, you know, and you know, they're if I'm remembering correctly, you know, there can be a strong mobile first design element, and you know, potentially that'll reach out to new users to, you know, onboard them into Hive and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, there's a large chunk of Splinterlands players that will also pick up the tower defense game as well.
Okay, so it's more like a partnership to an extent.
Yeah, it's more like a partnership. Then there's a whole other set of games being developed under the the Genesis League Sports brand, which is, you know, some overlap with the Splinterlands team. I'm not sure. Maybe Yabba could talk to it about how much resources are, you know, from the core Splinterlands team being applied to Genesis League Sports, and how much is, you know, new hires and whatever. But so they're in the process of launching a soccer game that is has a partnership with the Major League Soccer Players Association in the U.S. So from what I understand, that means that they will have, you know, cards of the likenesses of the players in the
Nice.
Major League Soccer. You know, I'm not a soccer guy, so I haven't really followed it that closely. But that is the first title under that new brand, and you know, to your point about Hive, could potentially be another source for onboarding users. And the goal there is to, you know, they're going to have the soccer game, but then they're going to have, you know, other sports titles under that brand over time. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on. And as far as Roonies go, oh yeah, and SBS stakers are getting an airdrop of the GLX token. That is correct. I've got like 10,000 GLX tokens from my staked SBS, which is the
Like
governance
already
token.
it's already happening.
The airdrop is already happening. Yeah.
Shit.
It started like a week ago. so stake your SBS.
Some liquidity might be getting pulled from somewhere.
Yeah. So
Earmuffs, Cal, earmuffs.
You know, there's almost no liquidity. I mean, the trading on that token just started, so there's very little activity so far. But you know, it's maintenance is done. Awesome. So yeah, there's things happening in that whole thing, and if they're successful, then that will, you know, onboard new users to Hive, create some pressure for needing resource credits, which means somebody's got to stake some HP. Yeah, it's a year-long airdrop on that, so you have time.
Oh yeah, no, I'll be taking care of some stuff this afternoon.
And then as far as Rooney goes, so Rooney is this is a new profile picture project on Ethereum. So it's if you guys noticed in Discord, my profile picture changed.
Yes.
And that is a Rooney. So it's a new card in Splinterlands that you can play with. Well, you will be able to play with in like a couple weeks. But it's an NFT project on Ethereum. So you go to OpenSea, you mint it's 0.38 ETH in order to mint a new one, or you know, you can buy off the secondary market on OpenSea. And so it's you know, I like it a lot. At first I was like, yeah, it's kind of gimmicky, but I've come around on it, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. So you know, there's all these different characters with all the different things. They have different heads and different stuff. Above their heads, they've got different weapons, they've got different bodies, different cores in the middle, and you know, it's a lot of fun. So I minted, I don't know, 8, I think, and got one that was pretty rare, and I managed to sell that for a nice chunk on to a desperate whale who was looking for a particular you know, characteristic. And one of the most interesting things about it is that we're told that there's going to be the ability to swap components amongst NFTs. So if you own 2 Roonies and one has a hat you like and one has a weapon that you like, you can move the hat or swap the hats between the two, from what I understand. That functionality does not exist yet, but it is on the way. So you know, that is one of the, like I said, what like Yama says, one of the most fun things that they've done. And you know, there's all different styles of things, and you know, I minted a bunch because I wanted to get one that I liked, and I did. So you know, I'm not sure if I'll rent out the rest or sell them or whatever, but you know, I'll be able to. I'm at least going to wait until we get the swapping thing, so I can build my ultimate and go from there. So I'm able to load up the site here and see if because there's 2 other proposals that are open, and I'm totally blanking on what they are right now.
Yeah, I just jumped on the site and I was like, oh yeah, sweet. I got land rewards to claim.
You have land rewards. Yeah.
I don't know what is that, just SPS? Yeah, it looks like SPS rewards.
That is SPS. So those rewards get auto staked when you claim them. So you'll automatically be in the governance.
Sweet. I just staked as we speak.
There you go. So those claims you can do once per day, just so you know.
Nice.
The SPS staking
First time I
rewards
had done it.
claims, you get those as many times as you want. Let's see. Okay, so the
Oh, yeah,
two other
stake
ones.
rewards.
Yeah, so Proposition 14 was to replace DEC LP rewards with SPS. So one of the things about the current tokenomics of Splinterlands is that so DEC, it was designed to be this stable-ish type coin where all the transactions inside Splinterlands happens. So if you buy a card, if you rent a card, then the currency that you're using is DEC. And then over the couple of years that it's been around, it's been 10 times higher than the stable price. It's been 40% of the stable price. So they introduced this change where the if DEC is above its par value of 1,000 DEC per dollar, then you'll be able to burn SPS and get 975 DEC. And if the price is high enough, then you could then sell that DEC back for SPS, and this will create a lowering pressure on the price of DEC. So it's sort of like it's like any kind of burn mechanism. So what it does is that if we reach that par value, and DEC's been under for a while, but it's getting back up there. If we reach that par value and people need DEC, then they have to either mint it from SPS by burning, or they have to buy it off the market. But there were still a couple legacy pieces that were out there that were still producing DEC inflation, and the proposal that just passed is cutting off 90% of that. So there's still going to be a very small amount of DEC printed for leaderboard rewards, but everything else is going to be shifting over to the SPS. And what that does is that shifts everybody's speculative pressures, positive or negative, into SPS rather than DEC. And if things go well, then virtuous cycle happens. SPS, people buy SPS to burn for DEC, and then that creates buying pressure on SPS. The price of SPS goes up, and just repeat the cycle. So in the best case scenario, that goes really strongly, and then a rising price is attractive to the crypto market. So people will take notice and say, hey, what's that over there? It's like, oh, there's this whole game thing, and bringing more users and people participating in the ecosystem. So
Nice.
I mean, that's like a 10-minute thing on there's a lot going on.
So there you have it, folks. The full preview of the Monster Maverick show later today.
Possibly.
So
although apparently we're getting a new Rooney post. So
there you go.
There you go. That's right. Yeah. So there'll be more chatter of what we just covered, plus Rooney talk.
Yeah.
There's always alpha.
So SPS is 5 cents right now.
Right.
What is your opinion on how it's doing and where it's headed? Because you just talked about the whole burn mechanism, and
yeah,
it sounds pretty bullish.
Yeah. So I mean, long term, I'm bullish. So we had, just like every other token in the world, there was launch, there was no liquidity, price spiked up, and then there was distribution over the year-long airdrop and the subsequent inflation, which has brought the price back down. On top of that, we had crypto winter that we've entered. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but so it popped up and it came down over last year and a half, and but this 5 cent region has had a lot of support in it. So I'm hesitant to say that it has bottomed already, but it might have. And as far as upside, if that kind of virtuous cycle gets going and SPS is being bought and being burned, which means it can never be sold again, that could push prices significantly. There's I would have to look, but I think there's maybe $3 million worth of SPS liquidity out there. So if people come in with a big chunk of buying, then that could push things significantly. I don't know about actual numerical targets, because those are always wrong. But but I think directionally we're headed in the right direction.
I like it.
Indeed.
So is there a lot of SPS left to, because like you mentioned that one game, tower defense game's getting like $1 million per month. So compared to like the circulating supply now, would you say there's a lot of SPS being, entering the market?
I think the monthly inflation is like 6%, something like that.
Okay.
So it's significant, but it's
Right.
not crazy, So the lifetime cap on SPS is 3 billion, and that'll be over like a 5-year period that'll be minted. So we're at about 900 million right now, so there's about 2.1 to go. So inflation will call it triple roughly, and but that's over a multi-year period. What was interesting about the million for tower defense was that, so in the original allocations there was I think 2.5 million a month, something like that, set aside for the Swindlelands team, and apparently their lawyers said you can't do that, so it's just been sitting there and they never took it. And so that million is coming from what was going to be the team stake, and so it's kind of sort of like free money to the rest of the ecosystem, but basically the Swindlelands team is paying for it, and that also leaves a little bit of extra room to develop other things like this, another project or 2 or 3 that could come under the same kind of system.
Nice.
So there's it's all to the good.
I like it.
Yeah. So if we get some nice bullish action in the middle of otherwise bear market territory, then that'll be attractive.
Yeah, I may pick some up. I'm excited for these Chaos Legion packs to sell out. Maybe I can convert my CL pack money into my SPS money.
There you go.
Yes.
And while we've been talking, Bitcoin is now 18,500.
Oh,
FTX just dipped below $10. It's down 60%.
Yes. Holy shit.
So
The end is here.
I was looking at the FTT, when these rumors were getting started a couple of days ago, and I was wanting to open a short position, but the only places that had futures on it was Binance, and I can't trade on Binance, so it's sad.
That was crazy. That
This
pump
is-
did not last long.
This is bad. It's under $8 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been great to short it. I saw that there was a huge short interest on Binance.
Yeah.
And a lot of people speculated that CZ was even shorting it through there.
Yeah,
Obviously,
it probably
there's no way
is.
to tell, but probably.
Watch by the end
I
of the
wouldn't be
week.
surprised.
By the end of the week, it's gonna be like, oh, we found some inconsistencies in their financials. We're not buying FTX.
Well, that's
Yeah,
what I'm wondering. Was there an announcement that caused another, rip lower?
Oh, good question.
Maybe, because this is quite the
Probably
move.
this is bad. Yeah.
This is quite the move. I mean, this thing just got cut in half in like minutes.
Yeah.
Well, not minutes, hours.
So
I was
Yeah,
at 14. I mean, when we
So-
started the call, it was at like 14. Now it's at 8 and change.
Yeah.
Holy
Uh,
crap. Things getting home.
that's the great thing about unwinds, is that if you're on the right side of them, they go fast.
Yeah.
There's some unconfirmed news that FTX was trying to raise $6 billion by midday today, and they weren't able to. So that's why they turned to Binance.
6 billion.
Yeah.
Oh my, how over leveraged do you have to be when you need to raise
About
6 billion? Holy shnikes.
Yeah. That's
I'm playing this game wrong. I need to just lever up, make a bunch of money, but then get out.
Well, that's
The
always
greed
the
gets
key,
them every
right?
time.
that's how the banks do it. And that's apparently how the Bankman-Frieds do it too.
Yes. The greed gets him every time.
Yeah.
So basically, this situation sounds like he's pretty much at CZ's mercy to save his ass.
Yeah.
Sounds
I
like
mean, Falling knife. That is a falling
Oh,
knife.
he's definitely not the Warren Buffett of crypto because Warren Buffett doesn't lever up like that.
Right.
Yeah.
He's
I
more
mean-
like the Bernie Madoff of crypto at this point.
Yeah. Why not let FTX die at this point? As soon as he has to spend zero. Yeah, he might. Oh, or it might.
Well,
go
he
to
just wiped
zero.
out his biggest competitor.
Yeah, it might go to zero,
He did.
and then he buys it, and it's he'll get
He's a
inherit
freaking savage.
all the licensing and everything. They pick from a rubbish pile, exactly.
Yeah, everything's down over 10% today. BNB down 0%. It's flat.
Yep.
Wicked up. There's a crazy wick on BNB. Let me post that. Really crazy.
I got to start writing a recap post there. Forgot all about it.
Yeah, I was hoping that the Cub BNB pool would be enough to lift the rest of it, a little bit. But from what you were saying, Cal, the ARB volume kind of limited the upside there a bit.
Yeah, it's the BNB pool is the smallest one for Cub liquidity terms, but it did give us a nice little wick. What is that? We were probably up like 15% almost at one point, and then obviously wicked with BNB. Yeah. And then obviously a lot of arbitrage in all the pools, which ultimately is just good for the bridge.
Right. Those LP fees.
Yep. And then the LP fees.
Get cheaper Rooney.
Yeah, Binance US rebranded as FTX would be very interesting.
Oh shit, that's actually a great reason for him to acquire FTX.
Yeah.
Well, I was wondering about that because Binance US is a thing already, so they have a US.
True.
Permit.
Doesn't seem like anyone uses it.
I don't know.
I mean, people do, but I'm just saying, like, none of us use it.
I try not to use centralized exchanges at all.
Oh, that too.
Because I mean, it's like this is I made a thread about it earlier. There's like example of 4 million that not your keys, not your crypto. The only way that this was a problem for FTX was if they took money from depositors, they did something with it, and now they have less money to pay back to depositors. They're calling it a liquidity crunch, but it's like we took your money and it's now gone. that's the plain
Seems
English
right.
version.
Yeah.
So there's with DeFi being a thing, there is no reason to do that. I mean, I use Coinbase Corporate or Coinbase Exchange to onboard and offboard, but there's no trading on the centralized exchange that's needed, unless you want to do times 100 leverage or whatever. And then you're just playing against the other people on the exchange in your own little world.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Hive just hit 43 cents.
Yeah, I saw that. I know I'm like typing up this post. I'd much rather be buying tokens.
Yeah, I'm biting off a lot of Bitcoin right now. Yeah, like I said, I sold some yesterday, and now it's looking like a great time to get back in.
Yeah, I mean, anything you sold above 20, it's like picking up
10%.
1,500 points. Nice little trade in less than a day.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Can't remember the last time I did an actual trade.
Yeah, I usually just do really small ones just to stay engaged with it.
Yeah, keep your finger on the pulse of the market.
Yeah. It's a lot harder to be engaged when you're just not doing anything and just perpetually long.
Yeah, no, that's been my Achilles heel of late, with kind of being focused on real estate the last few months.
That's not all bad.
Yeah, no, it can be a good thing too, just to keep your head clear.
Yeah.
Stay above it.
Well, at this point, it's like anything long-term investing is basically just like, all right, just chilling and waiting for the next bull market. So, come wake me up a year from now when maybe things begin to perk up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still I don't know if idealist is the right word, but a crypto believer. And I figure 10, 15, 20 years, we're going to be way, way higher than we are now. So,
Dude, 100% believer. Everything I see and just how more and more institutional money keeps coming in. And, once I saw the BlackRock news, I was, what was that, like a month or two ago? I was like, it's like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm holding all my crypto.
yeah. And, we have our midterm election today, and Twitter's all full of, machines aren't working. And it's just going to be a shit show.
That's right. I forgot. We have the good old vote going.
Yeah, we actually had, my wife told me, I've been down in my office. My wife told me someone came to the door to,
Really?
to say,
What were
"Hey,
they
voting?"
shilling? Red or blue?
Blue. We live in a fairly blue area, so it's
That is true, even
to be
though,
expected.
yeah, the area of the state you're in is definitely very blue.
Yeah. So they're trying to get the vote out for Stacey Abrams.
Good old Stacy.
Yeah. Who I know nothing about other than the headlines when she says stupid things. So
There you go. I just don't even pay attention, especially in Florida, like, because, I mean, obviously there's more than, the governor race, but I'm just like, why is anyone even running against DeSantis? like seriously, like you're just wasting your money.
Yeah.
That's like probably the most obvious kind of just win for a governor in any state right now. Even the Dems are pretty much happy with him.
yeah, it seems like he's pretty popular.
Uh,
It's funny because
Florida's-
when I was working in Florida when COVID started, and there was a rumor going around that the governor, who I had no idea who the governor was at that time, there was a rumor going around that he was going to shut down the state. And so I hopped on a plane and came back home to Atlanta. And turned out it was DeSantis, and he wasn't going to do anything. So
Nope. Ended up being the second most open state the whole time.
Yeah.
Assuming Texas was even more open, which I think it was.
yeah,
But
but,
good stuff. I don't know. I'm thinking I need to poke around at some potential buys when we get off this call, but we still need to get an update on all things Leo Finance. Because
Yeah.
there was no call last week. So I'm assuming since it's been 2 weeks, there's probably updates to be had.
Oh,
Since
definitely.
the dev team moves lightning quick in the crypto
Yeah,
winter.
it's become like really clear lately that especially with the success of threads, and we've talked about Project Blank for forever, it seems.
Ooh.
That
Speaking of,
yeah,
spoiler alert for anyone that doesn't know, even though everyone already knows and has figured it out. Leo Finance is Project Blank.
right.
dun, dun,
Dun, dun, dun. So that wasn't always a thing. Obviously, we were planning to
I
do,
know.
we were planning to do the whole airdrop, new token, whole thing. And
How many
then
times you can tease me with airdrops I don't get? It's supposed to be all those other blockchains with DeFi sites.
yeah, it's
And then Project Blank airdrops. I've been fooled this whole time, just bag holding. No. I'm
it's
sorry, go ahead.
it's become like pretty clear that a better strategy for us is more consolidation focused and bringing things kind of all into the same umbrella. I actually think that has a lot more value. And that was only supercharged by seeing basically Elon take over Twitter and kind of the vision that he has. And why not piggyback on some of that stuff, because he's essentially talked about Twitter in the sense of being the X app that he always wanted to create, x.com, which was obviously the original PayPal idea. So he's talking about a lot of things being built in for Twitter that we obviously already have, being on a blockchain, being on Hive, having the Leo token, having the wallet, everything like that is kind of already baked into what we've got. And now with Threads, we've got the whole microblogging framework. And, basically, instead of just launching Project Blank and doing like the whole new setup, whole new token, whole new UI, why not use this opportunity to build the new Leo UI and build it so that it's microblogging first and then long form content as a feature of the platform. So just imagine Twitter, but with long form content as an extra feature. So if you want to write an article from your Twitter account and, post it up, earn your upvotes, tweet it out, break it out into a thread. That's kind of where we're headed. I'm excited about what that means for Leo and Leo Finance. It could mean a lot of different things in terms of kind of the future direction. But I think ultimately what it does is it brings a lot of value back into the fold for Leo. And, I think one thing that we've learned a lot, a big lesson throughout this, bull to bear cycle is, consolidate the resources and focus on generating revenue, generating cash flow. And I think you're seeing that in the broader market too. So that's really just bleeding into what we're doing, but you're really seeing that in like growth companies and tech stocks, that people are abandoning tech stocks that are all about future revenues and that are basically incapable of generating positive cash flow today. So I think for us, we've kind of changed that whole dynamic, and you kind of see that with Cub as well, where the focus is really on the multi-token bridge and bringing in revenue today rather than focusing on what we can do tomorrow. So we talked a little bit about BHBD, but the liquidity there has been growing a lot. I think it's up like 50,000 in the last, couple of days, last week. I know Neil had a big hand in that. So seeing that grow has been awesome. And then obviously the bridge revenue is pretty astronomical. I mean, the last month's report, we had the bridge revenue at like $7,800 for the month, which is obviously not huge in the broader scheme, but considering that there was only about 600,000 in total value locked for Beehive BHBD, that's a pretty sizable amount of revenue. And the Cub inflation was only about $18,000. So we are currently at about, a little bit over 50% probably for this month with revenue compared to inflation. So basically revenue is buying back half of inflation every month. And that just continues to grow. So I think that turns into a bullish thing for Cub, kind of turning Cub into a growth stock. And I saw someone doing a PE analysis of Cub, and the PE ratio is basically in line with like growth dividend stocks, blue chip stocks. So it's it's fun to see these different analysis metrics kind of come into play now that Cub actually generates good revenue. If you look at the history, Cub's revenue was not great. I mean, it was basically minuscule to zero because it was only kingdoms based. And now with the multi-token bridge, that you just look at post a screenshot. You just look at the burn chart and you see how crazy these burns have gotten. That's what I'm excited about. And I think the new UI will be ready for open alpha in the next 60 days. That's what we're shooting for. And the new UI, I've teased it a little bit, but the new UI basically looks exactly like Twitter. And then, like I said, you've got the wallet features, and then you've got long form as a feature built in.
So I have questions. Obviously the competition is Twitter itself, right? Or at least crypto Twitter. And two things. So one is, if Twitter goes, some people are talking about using Doge as whatever. I think those people are insane. They might use it for payments for Twitter Blue, but as far as like if Twitter were to go on blockchain, then how do you compete with that? Like
that's a good question.
What's better about Threads or Project Blank is the official name Threads now? Is that like done?
It's the name for now. We'll see. In the Sooniverse, anything can change. So Twitter going onto a blockchain is a really interesting idea. Personally, I don't see that ever happening. I would be very surprised, maybe not ever, but I'd be very surprised if they could turn that, because Twitter is a huge ship. I'd be very surprised if they could turn that ship and throw everything onto a blockchain in any reasonable amount of time. You know, all that being said, I think what the future looks like for a lot of, you know, social media, but also, you know, even if you go to like the currency asset level, is a widening of what's available. So, you know, I don't see a future where you can't have Threads and Twitter and, you know, XYZ platforms, you know, coexist. So really for us, I think the key is going to be building out our niche, rather than attack the entire, like, let's say that, you know, Project Blank is not a attack to become Twitter, but instead to be a, you know, a niche crypto Twitter. I think that is just as valuable and kind of allows us to carve out an interesting niche. And obviously, I think we're going to beat Twitter to the, I mean, we've already have, but beat Twitter to the blockchain punch by 5 to 10 plus years.
Okay.
But yeah,
And
the idea that we're going for is using Twitter is super easy for the average person. So Threads needs to be as easy to use or potentially even easier than Twitter. And then have the whole blockchain thing be on the back end, which is really what we're going to focus in on with the new UI. We're building it from scratch to just be super, super easy to use.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be great. I mean, Threads works, you know, decently well, at least on desktop. The I you know, I honestly have not been quite up to date on all the Leo Finance updates, but like my Leo Finance app disappeared from test flight. So
Disappeared.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I haven't.
Interesting.
Let me try again. But
You can try going back through the original link. I haven't seen it disappear before. I have seen people that can't get it to load.
Yeah, I can't. I get the damn it. You can't see it. That failed.
Yeah.
Could initialize Leo Finance. We'll be back soon. I uninstalled, reinstalled. This is a few weeks ago, though, I think, or no, whenever it was the last call we did. So 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, no, mine's completely gone. I don't know what happened. I did migrate phones, so maybe something happened there.
Yeah, you probably need to rejoin it.
So, so we'll have the new UI. It'll be Threads first. Will it be mobile first as well?
So this is where it gets a little interesting. If you ever go on, most people have never done this, but if you ever go on twitter.com from your phone on, like, say, Safari or whatever browser you've got, the twitter.com app, web app, works extremely well on mobile. So we are building the Leo Finance, the new app, with that kind of mobile first idea. It'll look really identical to Twitter from both mobile and desktop, which will look super nice. So this is a reason why we've kind of pulled resources away from Leo Mobile a little bit to focus on this. Because, you know, I could imagine that instead of having the Leo Mobile app, you know, you could have this web app be better for mobile. That being said, we're still going to do Leo Mobile, obviously, but yeah, I really want the web app to be flawless. You know, I want the web app to work just like Twitter with no downtime, you know, no, like, I mean, obviously you'll always have bugs, but bugs should be, you know, quickly squashed and very few and far between. That's kind of why, you know, we basically examined either building, like taking the current UI and just kind of remodeling it, which is what we usually do, or just rebuilding it and rebuilding it in the way that we want it. And rebuilding it ultimately was what we decided on, because it's just so much, you know, with the back end framework that we have, we can build a really amazing front end. But trying to adapt the current front end to the new back end that we've built has just been like a Frankenstein monster. So that's really where we're headed, because I think it's the Threads backend engine is working amazing. If you guys used the first early days of Threads, it was nothing like what it is now. It's super fast, snappy, not perfect, but definitely well on its way.
Yeah, I will put in a feature request. I want the page to update without me having to refresh. So that's one thing.
Yep.
But
That is going to be, we're going to have that.
so okay, let's say it's 2 months from now. They have the new version of the user interface. We have a threads first design. What's the plan at that point to bring in all the crypto Twitter people?
Yeah. So a few things. So one thing I've talked about is what I really want to do is automate a lot of different things. So, we just kind of said that random Discord idea, but kind of take that and overlay it to like Twitter itself. And, one thing I would love to do is have people able to sign in, because we already have sign in with Twitter, right? That's on the current Leo UI. Obviously, we'll have that on the new one, and it'll be even better. What I would love to have is sign in with Twitter, back up all your tweets, and then scan for any new tweets you post and automatically back it up. Because if anything happens to your Twitter account, if you get censored, if you get taken down, anything, you have that blockchain backup. And that's going to be kind of, in my opinion, that's going to be a core use case of threads. It's just going to be a backup for people. And that's a perfectly fine use case to have. Obviously, you don't want the whole thing to just be everybody backing up all their shit. But having that as a use case, and then having people kind of jump back and forth and see that they're earning rewards. And then if you engage more on threads, you earn more rewards. Platform grows. You obviously get all those good effects. That backup feature, I think, is going to be a big one. One thing that me and a Nomad Soul have been working on is finding some small crypto influencers to start sponsoring and, putting all the Leo branding on them. And then obviously when the full Threads UI is live, it'll be a lot easier to onboard their audience and do things like give them a big delegation to basically bring in their community members and do engagement directly on Threads. So a lot of stuff like that. I think traditional marketing is mostly out of the window. Like I just don't find it to work that well. We've tried to run things like Facebook ads and they just don't tend to work well and frequently get actually taken down by the platforms. So they don't like competition. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like that a lot. I think, Hive is especially well suited for any kind of archiving kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It boggles my mind. Maybe this is just like a crypto tribalism thing, but obviously there are other projects out there that are trying to do different types of content on blockchain. But I think it's been proven by this point that nobody is willing to pay gas fees to post social media.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nope.
just at all. And when it comes to incentivizing and rewards, people aren't willing to pay out of their wallets for for liking or favoriting or whatever platform terminology you have. So I mean the one not the one thing, one of the things that I've got right was paying for new content out of inflation and gasless transaction. Obviously you need the resource credits to make it all work, but that's like a one-time thing instead of a constant thing. And the app developers can delegate that out with their bags. So I just don't see anything else work at all.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure the blockchain stuff will work, but if it is going to work, it's going to be in the gasless inflation funded way.
100%.
Because we were talking about CZ earlier. He was also $500 million invested into Elon's takeover. So you got to figure that they're looking at something.
Right.
Very interesting.
And Binance Smart Chain is quasi DPoS, but it's
I think Binance Smart Chain is a killer. I really think it's a killer. I know a lot of people don't like it, but it is a killer use case of blockchain. The fees are low enough. The transaction speed is good. Yeah, I think it's a killer.
Yeah. Did you guys look at the library SEC lawsuit?
I did not.
So the SEC filed for summary judgment, and it was granted, which means that at least at the moment, unless there's an appeal or something, that the library is deemed to be a security.
So what is library?
You know, the
For
Odyssey
anyone that might
platform, LBRY.
Yeah.
So those guys. So they have a video blockchain application. I remember I logged onto it and it had a thing similar to what you're saying about Threads, where you could back up your YouTube channel, and you just hook it up, and then it downloads everything and creates library posts out of it. But there was I tried it for like a day. The interface I didn't like, and I haven't looked at it since, but I assume it's still there. So the SEC sued them, saying that, hey, you've sold an unlicensed, unregistered security, and you know, they've been battling back and forth in court. And yesterday, judge granted the SEC summary judgment. And so I read the opinion, and obviously I'm not a lawyer, but from what I could tell, it seemed like the issue was that so when they launched, they minted themselves, you know, these library coins, and then they sold those coins to various exchanges and other private investors, and so that act, they're saying, constituted an investment contract under the Howey test, and then by virtue of the fact that their team was working to improve the state of the network, that constitutes like promoter efforts, as you know, again, which is one of the criteria under the Howey test. So, which is, you know, which is quite a claim. So if this holds up, basically, from what I can tell, any crypto team that, you know, mints coins to themselves and then sells them is under the securities, you know, umbrella.
Yeah.
Which could be, you know, a problem for people.
Right.
And so the on Twitter, the library guys were saying, you know, this precedent's going to apply to pretty much all crypto, at least in the U.S. And I'm not sure that's 100% true, but you know,
yeah, I mean, the real thing is like, and you look at what Splinterlands' team is doing as like, you know, as a good lens, is that if you're not minting team stake and selling it, then you're really in the clear, from a lot of these, from even the question of it like that.
Yeah.
You know, and library obviously needs to finish this whole thing out, but really just avoiding that and sidestepping it is really just the key way to avoid it.
Right. But that's most of the incentive, right? Is to
Right.
we
Right.
mint ourselves a team stake and then we sell it.
Right. So I think the real key is to mint coins, let it go into the market, buy it, just buy it yourself. And then, you know, if you're building something of value, then you've bought your own stake in that company. Essentially, you're writing a check to buy a stake in it, and then build it for the better, contribute to it, and that's the
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good workaround, but it's probably not a desirable workaround for people. Like, because you think about it.
Well, when it
like,
first
most people
starts,
get-
it has pretty much no value, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I guess
and-
you
so,
can
but-
buy it for
obviously-
basically nothing.
And obviously none of us are lawyers, especially not securities lawyers, but just
Right.
not legal
Yeah.
advice
not
or
legal.
Yeah.
financial. Well, but
Consult
my
your-
point is, like, think
consult your
about with
counsel.
stocks. Yeah, exactly. Think about with stocks. Obviously, you know, you have an IPO, and there's always like, you know, that stake, so to speak, for the team. You know, with all the laws that go with it, but they can eventually sell those shares and all that. So, I
Yeah.
mean, they're treating it the same way. So,
Yeah.
I mean, Cal's
But you know, those
idea
companies
is a
are
great
doing the
loophole.
legal work.
Yeah, well, that too. So, but I just look at, like, I don't know. I guess it sounds good as a great loophole, but there's plenty of probably broke people starting, you know, new projects that, you know, have
Yeah.
potential. And it's like, I don't even have, you know, let me find the $1,000 to buy a huge stake in the thing I launched because I'm buying it fractions of a penny right now. But,
Yeah.
you know, greed always comes into a thing. It's like, sweet, I can buy whatever, you know, let's say 200,000 tokens, when in, you know, the other format, I could just get allocated team share and get my whatever it is, you know, 500,000 tokens.
Right. So, you know, as a counterpoint, like with the Venari Syndicate, which is my Splinterlands fund, we did the whole registration thing. So we paid the lawyer 10 grand and following all the rules, and it's all KYC and everything.
I keep
But it
forgetting you
keeps-
have that.
keeps me out of trouble. So
Yeah, speaking of the lawsuits and everything, I saw Kim Kardashian is potentially
That's a great
winning her
segment.
case.
Oh,
What case?
really?
I'm not aware of any case. Tell me.
Oh, I thought
She,
it was already concluded that she was just gonna pay the fine.
that's what I thought too, but then I saw this. I think I saw this morning. Let's see if I can pull it back up.
Oh, she was advertising or something, right?
Yeah, she was paid to advertise. It was like an Ethereum fork that she was paid to
Yeah, she got
advertise.
tagged for basically helping pump and dump.
Right.
I remember hearing about
Is
this,
that-
but wasn't it a thing where like in the tags it said sponsored or something?
Probably.
I
Like
think so.
she disclosed in some small print kind of way that it was promotional.
I obviously posted the recap post up in chat, and at 2 o'clock I'm gone. I don't know about you guys, but I gotta go too.
All right. Yeah, it says celebrity Kim Kardashian and boxer Floyd Mayweather have won a lawsuit accusing them of scamming Ethereum Max investors.
Wow.
Just a month ago, Kardashian paid 1.26 million to the SEC to settle the allegation that she broke the U.S. rules.
So if she settled, what did she win?
Yeah, I don't know. I think
Good luck
maybe
getting
there's
your
multiple.
good luck getting your money back.
There might be multiple lawsuits because this
Wow.
was posted 2 hours ago.
Oh wow.
I
I don't know. Maybe she appealed or something and is trying to get her money back.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Or maybe she hasn't paid yet and then they appealed it. I'm not sure. Or I guess she had agreed to pay it, but then the judge didn't enforce it.
Interesting.
I don't know. A little confusing. I just saw that this morning though.
Yeah. So I mean, Kat, if you got to go, then is the question for you guys is: let's say this whole FTX thing goes bad and Binance does not come in, the whole thing goes to zero. They have to sell everything in order to pay off depositors as much as possible. How low does Bitcoin go?
I don't know. I mean, I guess the question is that what breaks it, below support? In the end, we need a catalyst. So I'm not even 100% confident it pushes it super far, but let's just assume that's the catalyst. I'm looking at, as far as not even a crazy move, I'm looking at like 16.5 as my first area. And then if that doesn't work out, then that's when we definitely probably push into the 14s, potentially 13s. So those are the two kind of spots I'm looking at.
Yeah, without any data on, I mean, I think the best way to know would be to know how much FTX is holding in terms of, crypto like Bitcoin. I know they have a lot of Solana and other coins. That would be like the real mathematical way to do it. But just my personal feeling, I feel like I would be surprised, honestly, if we break this 18 level that we're at. But if we do, I think we easily see like 14, 15. And then, yeah, I would have a hard time believing we go below that. I think there's plenty of buyers in the market, and I really don't think that FTX is as widespread as Luna in terms of, cascading failures of the system.
Yes.
I think a lot of people cleared their balance sheets and settled up their debts and, cleared out a lot of leverage. So I don't think we're kind of in that leverage scenario that we were in before.
Yeah, I think it more becomes like a psychological thing in terms of like, oh, black eye on crypto, and then, retail and whoever else like, oh, this is bullshit. And, but I think that is more of a short-lived sell-off as
Yeah, I
opposed
agree.
to any kind of contagion. So
By the way, is that what you're saying?
By the way,
By the
I'm
way,
buying. I've been
if
buying
there
this
is
whole
one,
call.
if we see any kind of breakdown into those levels, I'm definitely buying. I mean, shit, I've talked about that for eons. If, I see basically I see anything where 13 is the first two numbers with Bitcoin, I'm just blindly buying.
Dollar cost average.
But yeah, I mean, we'll see. We get into the 16s, I'll buy some there. But yeah, DCA is probably the smart play. I've been waiting for the back of the truck price, but That really doesn't work out too often.
Right.
Might
Yeah. I mean,
happen.
that's the thing. You got to start nibbling at different levels, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and certain coins, with Bitcoin, it really hasn't hurt me because it's just going sideways. But like something like, Cosmos, if I would have just DCA'd into that mofo, I'd be in awesome shape right now and be happy with, my stake and my overall price. So
What are you doing, Neil?
I don't know. That's the problem. So I mean, if we get a huge jump in Bitcoin, I'll buy some certainly. But I have a bunch already. Kind of happy with the amount of Bitcoin I hold,
yeah.
and I've just been kind of sitting in cash, doing nothing.
Interesting.
Hey Neil, can I borrow some cash? I'm very illiquid
Sure, for a
at the moment.
35% APY.
There you go.
Hell no. That's
Hard
what I should
money.
be doing. I should be borrowing money at 10% backed by real estate, and then instead of putting it into more real estate, just putting it into stuff that gets me 35% APY and just keep
Do
the
it.
spread.
Yeah.
It's not
Arbitrage it.
terrible.
I hear there's
Yield
a Splinterlands
arbitrage.
fund. There's a Splinterlands fund that can get me rates around that.
It depends. It varies. But if you want reliable APR, stablecoin farming is a pretty good way to go.
I mean, to an extent.
The HBD's been holding ground.
It
I
has.
say.
So.
And you get the random Korean pump every now and then.
Right.
Stable. Algorithmic stable coins, my favorite. But no doubt. Well,
Sweet.
Good call.
Yeah,
Little
thanks for jumping
reunion.
on, both of you.
Yep. Happy to do it.
Until next
Absolutely.
week. What is next week?
What, the 15th, I'm guessing? Yep, 15th.
15th.
Works out because I'm going out of town again on the 16th.
Sweet.
Oh,
So we
crypto
will.
pump on the 16th.
I like that.
I'm just going
I'm
west
gonna
coast
start
of
buying
Florida,
now.
so
Oh, okay.
I'll be around my computer.
Okay, that doesn't count then.
Yeah, no, I'm just going to real estate stuff on the west coast, so I'll still be technically around. But look at that. Addicted just jumped in. Yeah, what's going on, dude? We even got Neil here. Yeah, but Matt was in the chat. You missed it all, bro.
Missed it all.
Yeah.
Apparently that post Yeba was talking about just dropped, so I'll have to read that.
Oh, nice.
Sweet.
Yes, unless I get roped into some social activities with my business partner, his family, I will probably actually be able to jump on
All right.
Monster Mavs. 5 p.m.
5 o'clock.
Eastern for you folks that want to get your Splinterlands on.
Yeah, that's right.
All right,
All right.
guys.
We'll catch you later.
Always
Sweet.
fun.
See you guys next week.
Laters.